Hey everybody, welcome back to Shapes.io. I'm Joe Mama, your host. Yeah, I know, it's been a little while since I've played this game, and it's been even longer since I released a video about it, and I apologize for that, but real life calls and we have a business to run, and unfortunately, because this is not my real job, it has to take a back seat to what is my real job, and that is woodworking. But here I am. We've got a little bit of time, so let's go ahead and pick up where we left off. So, as you recall, in the last episode, I believe it was, we unlocked free play and we unlocked wires completely, and that is great. So, but what do we do now? Now, if you remember, this was the shape we left off on, and I have created absolutely 0 of them. And as you can see, the requirement here is 4 per second. I don't know if that's true. I think this is randomly generated. I don't know if it's true of every level 27, if it's 4 per second. But here it is. Okay, for us, we are going to do this shape at 4 per second. But I'm going to tell you right now, we are not going to be working on this shape and getting it done and getting this level complete in this video. No, instead, we're going to delve into wires and exactly what this means for us, what we can do with them, what the capabilities are, and start to formulate a plan. So here's what I'm thinking. Let's go ahead and go to the wires diagram. As you can see, if we go to the wires layer, hitting E, you can see right here that we have an output on the hub. It tells us, this little output right here tells us what the hub is asking for. And I've already started to create some wires going to a particular location, but we're going to get to that in just a minute. But let's take a look at the new tools we have. First of all, we have wires. Obviously, that's what they are, transfer signals, which can be colors or booleans, that is 1 or 0. Differently colored wires do not connect to each other. So, okay, oh, there we go. Yes, right there. So if we go T, we have blue wires and we have green wires. So that is fantastic. Good to know. I actually didn't catch that till just now. Also, we've got these wire crossings here, which allow 2 wires to cross without connecting to each other. That is awesome, because we are going to be making a rat's nest. I can foresee a rat's nest of wires, so if we can be sure that they're not going to touch each other, then that would be good, because without this, we couldn't run 2 wires next to each other on adjacent blocks. Otherwise, we'd get them joining. Okay, so hotkey number 3, constant signal emits a constant signal, which can either be a shape, color, or a boolean, which is 1 or 0, true or false. And what have we got here? And gate emits a boolean 1 if both inputs are truthy. So, in other words, this will emit a signal if it reads that the conditions are met for, let's say, shape and color, or 2 different colors, or whatever. Yeah, in other words, 2 things have to match for this thing to send out a signal. So that's a good thing. This one, okay, it says virtual unstacker, but that's what I left it on. There's a virtual cutter, rotator, virtual stacker, virtual painter, and a virtual unstacker. So these are the 5 variants of this. So basically, it's a virtual manipulator. We'll call it that. It can manipulate a particular shape, like for example, this shape right here. This can cut it, can slice it right down the middle, just like a regular slicer does. Take the signal, we can rotate it, we can stack one on top of another. We can paint it, and we can unstack it. So that, I mean, this right here is probably what we're going to be concentrating on most today, because this allows us to take the signal that the hub is spitting out and do what we want with it, because the number 6 right here is really important. And number 6 is a shape analyzer. So what this will do, it analyzes the top quadrant of the lowest layer of the shape and returns its shape and color. So that means it could take this shape. So let's, it's saving. I hate when it does that. So let's take one of these, hotkey number 6. Yeah, right there. Okay. So we'll put this right here, and it's reading the signal that this is spitting out. Okay, this is spitting out the signal for this big shape. And the bottom layer, the upper right portion of it, I mean, if you look, you can tell. If you look at the upper right portion of that shape, it is obviously a white pinwheel, right? So, and this signal can read that. It is reading that, yes, the upper right is, I see this upper left highlighted on the diagram, but the reality is we rotated it to the left once. We rotated this machine to the left, so therefore the diagram isn't going to accurately reflect it. But no matter which way this component is oriented, it's reading the upper right of the shape. And the shape right there, the upper right, is indeed a white fan. So in order to make this shape, we know that at least part of it requires a white fan. So these two, the virtual manipulator and the the virtual manipulator and the analyzer are going to work very closely together. And let's see, we can compare. I see us using this one in the future very extensively. So therefore, the returns Boolean 1 if both signals are exactly equal. Can compare shapes, colors, and Booleans. And then this one is a transistor. It forwards the bottom input if the side input is truthy. In other words, it's a yes. Yes, I agree, open this gate. And if you're familiar with the transistor in electronics, it basically works the same way. It, as long as it has a proper signal from the side, it will let power or electricity, signal, or whatever pass through it. That's how a transistor works. Actually, I see that as more of an SCR, to be honest, But anyway, yes, so there's our components right there. So let's show you what we can do. Because, I mean, here we've got this signal. Let's go back to 5. Here we've got this shape that we need to build in the hub, but we've got this analyzer thing, and you might look at it and say, well, dang, sure, that's great. It analyzes the top right quadrant of the lowest layer. But that is one small piece of one slice of the whole picture, and we want the whole picture. So let me show you how this is going to work. So I've taken the liberty of taking the signal off this hub. So now we can run our cursor over it, and we can see what the signal is. That's a pretty neat feature. Now I've made an entire bank of manipulators and and scanners, if you will. What this is doing is this is taking each layer. First of all, we use the virtual unstacker. Let's go to number 5. The virtual unstacker extracts the topmost layer. So basically what this is doing right now, it takes the top layer of this signal, which as we can see is blue and white, and it spits it out the side. And that layer, that signal, what we're going to do is we're going to take that bottom layer, or that top layer rather, and we're going to analyze the upper right quadrant. Okay, so therefore looking at this signal right there, it should be obvious to everybody that the upper right quadrant is a white circle. So it means we need circles and white dye, and the analyzer right here is showing us exactly that. Now we know what the upper right corner of this shape is. But we want to look at all the other corners. But since we don't have an analyzer for all quadrants, we only have it for the top right, then what we can do is we can virtually rotate the shape. So as you can see, if you look, there's the shape right now. Let's virtually rotate it clockwise, and now that's what we're ending up with. So now we can analyze the top right quadrant of that shape, and sure enough, we get a blue pinwheel. It's as close as I can get, so hopefully you can see that. And then what I would like to do is use this machine, this layout, to check any shape that comes out of the hub. Now, just looking at this shape right here, it's rotationally symmetric. So really, every other quadrant is exactly the same. And it is the same for the signal that is passed on. Really, this is a very simple shape, but I'm setting this system up so that it can read any shape coming out of the hub. So we'll rotate it again. Okay, we've already checked out this one. We've got the pinwheel and we've got the blue. It's not blue, it's cyan, or what would be another word for it? Baby blue, or turquoise, aquamarine. I don't know. Come up with a good name for it. Combination of blue and green. We rotate it again. We take this signal, rotate it again. So now we're going to end up, as you can see, with an analysis that is the same as the first one. The third and the first are the same, and the second and the fourth are the same. But basically what I've done is I've taken the signal, scanned it, then rotated it 90 degrees and scanned it again, rotated it 90 degrees again, scanned it again, and then rotated it a third time, scanned it again. That's 4 scans, and we've gotten all 4 slices of that layer. Now that's the top layer. So what I've done in this case, okay, the top layer is spit out one side, and all remaining layers are gone to the other side, or spat to the other side of the virtual unstacker. Now because there's only 2 layers here, this virtual unstacker removes the top layer and analyzes it in the same way it analyzed the top layer from before. It comes up with a very similar analysis, because if you look at the shape, the quarters opposite each other are the same. So quadrant 1 and 3 are the same, and quadrant 2 and 4 are the same. So now this only had 2 layers, so there's only 2 layers analyzed, and we have an analysis for every quadrant of every layer on this shape, and it's all right there, a shape and a color. We've got white, we've got circles, we need pinwheels, we need turquoise dye, and then we've got more pinwheels, we need white dye. So really, let's see, what colors have we got? We've got green, white, and turquoise. So, and we've got circles and pinwheels. So it's going to be a very simple shape. But the key here is we want to set up a system that can read any shape. So I've went ahead and set up a way to scan a 3rd layer and a way to scan a 4th layer. And I hope that all makes sense. And since there is no 3rd layer and 4th layer, there's nothing to scan. There's no signal. There is nothing. Null. I don't know. Use whatever electronics lingo you want. But there we go. So hopefully that makes sense. Now that we can have a signal output being put out by these analyzers, then we can figure out what to do with it. But just to show you that this does work with any shape, let's go over here. And I went ahead, let's take it out of the wires layer. I went ahead and allowed a couple of these Red Bull rockets to be put into this storage container. So let's go to the wires layer, and the storage containers do indeed have an output. They have a signal output, and as you can see, the signal output here is our little Red Bull rocket. So I've made a copy of this shape analyzer. It'll analyze up to 4 layers. And I mean, has anybody ever seen more than 4 layers in a level? I've only ever seen 4. And anything I've ever seen online says the limit is 4. I mean, really, any more than that, and it would be graphically awkward to try to display such a shape. I mean, that white circle is so tiny. That would be really hard if there was a 5th layer. So I went ahead and made it 4 layers. Until someone can tell me that there's 5, we're going to leave it at that. Let's break this down. So here we got the signal, the Red Bull rocket coming in, and then the first thing it does, it takes off the top layer, which of course is that white circle. Pretty straightforward. And now in this case, it's a white circle. All 4 quadrants are the same, so rotating it is going to do nothing. It's going to have, the quadrant is made up of a circle with white dye, and it is that for all 4 quadrants of that first layer. But now look at this. Here's the remaining 3 layers. Look at when you roll over it, it breaks it down for you. There's the 2nd, 3rd, and 4th layer shown minus the 1st layer. Isn't that pretty cool? So this signal comes to our new upgrade available. Okay, to our virtual unstacker, and then it shows right here which layer is which. So the next layer to be peeled off is this one right here. And then, because it analyzes the upper right quadrant, now in that layer, there is no upper right quadrant. So it comes up with a big fat goose egg. But then we rotate it clockwise, and now the next, the layer here is the red circle. Then we rotate it clockwise again, and we get the 4-pointed star, also red. We rotate it again, and we get another red circle. So as you can see, it works pretty well, and it goes on to analyze layers 3 and 4, and the, I say layers 3 and 4, but it should be 1 and 2, really. I mean, if you think about it, the top layer is layer 4, in my opinion. It's the smallest layer, it's the 4th layer, it's the top layer. So this here is the 4th. 1, 2, and 3 continue the other direction. So then it peels the 3rd layer off, analyzes that, there's the 3rd layer. Layers 1 and 2 continue down here. And let's see, the only thing in that layer is the point of a 4-pointed star. The only piece. So that, in the upper right quadrant, that is the only part of the shape that has anything but a negative or a null output. So there we go. 2nd layer, just one small little point from a star, and then the final layer is that Red Bull checkerboard pattern there, and obvious, that's pretty straightforward. But that shows you that this layout will indeed parse out a 4-layer shape and put it into its proper place. We'll put all the layers into their proper place. Here's the problem, though. We've already talked about in that one video about how to make this shape, that there's more to this shape than just stacking layers. So again, I leave it to that video. Maybe if you haven't seen it, I'll put a card right about here, so hopefully it'll lead you to that video. But again, all we're trying to do is send signals to our factory. We know how to put this shape together, but we are creating signals that will tell our factory how to put this shape together. Now, as for this particular shape, there's tricks to it, and for that, I'm afraid that's something that just telling a factory which shapes to stack on top of each other is not going to be able to do. So that's sort of a custom shape that unfortunately, the way I see it now, is going to have to be dealt with on a case-by-case basis. But for this shape that the hub is requiring right now, yeah, we can easily, with the tools we have, as you can see, we can break the shape down into its components. We can break each layer down to its quarters, and then we can tell our factory exactly what layers we need, almost completely automated. And that's the goal. But anyway, in this episode, that's pretty much what I wanted to cover. I wanted to show you what we are capable of analyzing with the wires, and then what we do with those analyses. That's another whole can of worms. That's another whole ball of wax. So we can tell our, let's get out of the wires layer for a second. There's nothing to show, right, because it's all in the wires layer. So if we look at our components, let's see, like the painter, for example. This quad painter right here, where is it? Right here. Yes, this quad painter right here allows you to color each quadrant. Only slots with a truthy signal on the wires layer. Only slots with a truthy signal on the wires layer will be painted. So what this means is we can tell the painter which shapes we need, and we can tell them what color to paint them. So that's pretty cool. But we're going to learn more about how to do that probably next time. But I need some time to take this information and make it useful, to be honest. This is really great stuff. And again, my goal here is not just to make this shape, but I want to make a machine that will read the shape and make it on its own. It will decide based on the outputs, based on all of these outputs, the shapes and colors. It will send these to where they need to go. The factory will read those shapes and colors and pick it from the selection we give it. This is going to be the most complicated thing I've ever done in this game. This machine is going to be massive, and fortunately, we can basically go infinitely in every direction. I don't think any of this, as it stands right now, can go away because right now, let's see, if we go to F, we need these shapes to allow us to make more stuff, allow us to upgrade our belts and whatnot. Let's go ahead. Let's see, what's extraction or mixing and painting? I'd say mixing and painting is the one that requires the most. Extraction, we're good. I think we're way good on extraction. But painting and mixing, yeah, that's an important one. So yeah, so unfortunately we got to keep these shapes rolling. But on the outskirts of all of this, we can start to produce massive factories that will take the shapes that we give it and figure out what to do with them on its own. That's the key. If it can do it on its own, we'll really be making the most out of this wires update. Plus, we need to do it at whatever rate they call for, so we can't just make like one massive machine that's, you know, after everything is computed and everything is extracted and put together, it spits out the shape in a crappy rate. You know what I'm saying? We want it to spit out a lot of the shape. So the way I see it, we need to not only make this thing intelligent, we need to make it massive. It needs to be able to smartly change the supply chain to create massive amounts of the shape. So I think we have a real challenge in front of us. But I think that about covers it for this video. I think that covers it for this episode. We got some good information here, and hopefully this is news to some of you. I hope you find it useful. And I hope you can see where we're going. I hope you can see the potential of what we can do now that we know how to take this shape, whatever the hub calls for, and break it down into its individual components and send those signals to, you know, a hypothetical machine somewhere. So anyway, hopefully I will see you guys in the next one. Be sure to hit the like and subscribe button if you haven't already, and maybe we can do some more of this in the future if that's what you want to see. I'm excited about this. I just know that it's going to be the biggest undertaking we've ever done. So I look forward to it. Y'all have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next one. Ciao.